It's time for a spider bite-sized vlog for the latest movie I decided to watch, mostly out of sheer curiosity, and also it's because it's been a while since I saw a monster flick on the big screen. Okay, not really. Godzilla and Kong doesn't count. I'm mostly talking them in terms of horror movies, and I decided to watch the movie Sting, in which it caught my attention when I saw the trailer. I decided to go through with it, and well, I'm okay with this because in particular, I'm not the kind of guy who is arachnophobic. I'm not afraid of spiders, but I can, but I do know that they're not pretty creatures. But I do know people that they have an intense fear with spiders, and this movie is no help at all. So anyway, I just decided one of those days in AMC where, it's Tuesday, it's cheaper. I went there, and I finally watched it. The movie called Sting, and you know what? I did like it, although there are some things that I want to address, some things. But I will say this in short, that Sting, it is as serviceable as a monster horror movie. It is not hand grind art. You'll get enjoyment for what it is. You're gonna get some nitpicks for what it is, and this is what I'm gonna talk about. So the premise is nothing kind of like very special. It's about this girl named Charlotte. Get it, Charlotte, like Charlotte's Web. It's a girl that she picks up a little spider that she decides to adopt it, put it in a jar, and she lives in a small apartment in New York where some typical people live there. She also lives with her stepfather, the mother, and the baby. But basically, what she doesn't know that this spider is something else, and the more it feeds, it gets bigger and bigger, and of course, the bigger the creature, the hungrier it gets, and it needs more than just cockroaches to sustain itself. That's all. It's the basic premise that you see in these kind of typical horror movies, in which in this case is the typical case of a child picking up a strange creature, adopts it, and well, the creature grows larger than it needs to be. And so there's nothing special in it. If you're seeing more of those monster movies, you're gonna predict a lot of the timing and all the stuff that are gonna happen in these kind of monster movies. But like I say, the execution is what's important, and this movie delivers for the most part. It also delivers, of course, on the gore, and the gore effects is pretty good. The atmosphere, it works. The creature effects is pretty good, I'll say. I'll get to that in a minute, because if there is one thing that this movie has a little bit of the weakest part is the characters itself. Because they're not kind of like the most fleshed out character, but sometimes you get kind of like this level of likability or an unlikability between each other, and somehow they turn a little bit into caricatures. Let's start out, with the protagonist, Charlotte, which is this little girl that she sounds very precocious, and it's to the point that she's kind of obnoxious in one way or another. Although she doesn't come off kind of like a mean character, but sometimes she does, and especially when they wanted to build up that she has kind of like this on and off relationship with the stepfather, who that poor stepfather he's easily supposed to be the main character, because the poor guy, he has to juggle as working on the faults of the apartment, the noisy people that he lives in, and also he's an illustrator of a comic book that his stepdaughter Charlotte, she writes the story, and he illustrates that. Even his illustration is a little bit, how can I say, uneven, because sometimes you see it kind of like in the style of that it wants to be a wannabe Marvel, but then you read one of those comics and they kind of look like a John and Vasquez comic. So their its style is kind of like uneven. Yeah, also, there's the wife and the baby, in which apparently the Charlotte character is like angry at the baby, and she even says like, "You're the bane of my existence." And I'm gonna try to keep this a little bit short because it's a vlog. There is also this I think it's the aunt who is kind of like this angry, like an angry Karen. I swear that she kind of looks like the Karen from Five Nights at Freddy's. Of course, there are the pets in which you're gonna see who obviously what pet is gonna die or who's gonna survive. There's the Latina woman who she kind of lost her family, but it doesn't go there. There's an Asian guy who's kind of practicing to be a scientist of some sort. There is the pest control guy, and of course there is probably kind of like the most weirdest character that there is, because there is the grandmother of the protagonist. This woman, she's kind of like one of the weirdest cases of Alzheimer's I have ever seen, because this is a woman that she apparently has dementia or Alzheimer's, but she kind of acts kind of like very oddly nice. It was like, who are you, or something like that. It's almost like cartoonishly sweetheartish. That I don't know if the movie tried to make fun of people who have Alzheimer's, and she comes off kind of like this. Awkwardly funny is kind of like the best way to describe it. And of course, we got the spider who Charlotte and then names it Sting, and it calls it like that because she read The Hobbit, and she even kind of sees the book here and there. And well, the spider, grows. It started out small, and it grows and grows and grows. And the biggest reason is that at the beginning of the movie, it showcased that this spider comes from outer space. That's the best way. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but honestly, that's what at the start of the movie it showcased that the movie it comes from outer space. But honestly, also the movie makes the cardinal sin of showcasing an action scene at the beginning of the movie, and then it says the usual 4 days earlier, and I was like, well, you have to start out like that. And unfortunately, when as the movie goes, it becomes a little bit inconsistent when the timeline finally catches up. But it doesn't necessarily harm the movie in itself. But the character is the mostly is kind of like the weakest factor of the movie, considering that you only get tidbits of what you know about the character, and sometimes you get kind of like uneven because like I said, the Charlotte character sometimes comes off as a precocious brat, in an instance. Sometimes she comes out like she's missing her father, and even if the stepfather character, he just comes with a reasonable reason why it doesn't go like that. The girl kind of begins to act like a brat for almost no discernible reason, but of course that. Luckily, the movie saves itself when the girl finally comes in terms about what really is going on, and she kind of let's say that she gets a little bit of her comeuppance with the experience that she gets. But like I said, as much as I'm nitpicking that aspect of the movie, it's still enjoyable as a monster flick as it is. Because what it plays the cards right to make it like a serviceable monster movie. Because the monster in itself it is creepy. There are some parts that are practical effects, some CGI effects, and it does an interesting job. And it is an interesting monster that for people who are really really scared of spiders, it is serviceable. Especially there is one scene in which that part was actually cringy, but not cringy in the bad way. It's actually cringy in the oh my god, that's so disgusting. I'm not gonna reveal what it is, but if you're scared of spiders, that part not gonna help because that way is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The fate of that character. But nevertheless, for it, that's technically all I have to say about this movie. Is because there's nothing much to say. It's just a serviceable monster movie that it plays the cards right. It can kill off kind of like an hour 40 minutes or hour 30 minutes of your time without doing so much. But yeah, you know, that's the way it is with spiders, especially when they multiply, because spiders are everywhere. Don't you agree, Finn? Circle of life, Finn. Circle of life.